Americans love libraries. Public libraries represent the heart and soul of a community. They serve as human gathering places, welcoming all. The essential American values of intellectual freedom, freedom to read, and your right to privacy are embedded in the American Public Library. Our belief that we can be anything we want to be, that the entire frontier is still open to us, has no greater symbol than the public library. For 200 years, Americans have found their way out of poverty, ignorance, and parochialism through public libraries. And despite the predictions that the library will become obsolete and replaced by digitized information on the internet, communities all across the United States are renewing their love of public libraries. New libraries have been built in San Francisco, Phoenix, Chicago, Denver, and San Antonio. In Tompkins County, New York, the tiny village of Newfield renovated and expanded its library. The Ulysses Philomathic Library in Trumansburg moved into its new library in 2001, and the Tompkins County Public Library opened the doors of its new library at the end of 2000. This story is about how a community created a vision for a new library and saw its dream come true. Before the Tompkins County Public Library could finally close its doors on its old site, it had one more thing to do. The huge oil portrait of its founder, Ezra Cornell, had to be removed from its place of prominence over the circulation desk and taken to conservators in Skaneateles, New York, for cleaning and restoration. The story of the new Tompkins County Public Library starts in 1863 when Ezra Cornell chartered the Cornell Public Library. Cornell deeply believed that a free public library would be useful in increasing the knowledge and elevating the moral and religious standards of the people. Buying the property and funding the building, Cornell saw the library open at the southeast corner of Tioga and Seneca Street. The three-story building included a lecture hall with a stage and balcony seating 800 people, room for up to 30,000 books, and leased space for tenants.
December 1866, the Cornell Library opens its doors on the corner of North Tioga Street and East Seneca Street. Ezra Cornell's gift to the citizens of Tompkins County stands for nearly a century. February 1969, the Tompkins County Public Library opens its doors on the corner of North Cayuga Street and West Court Street in the city of Ithaca. During the next 30 years, increased usage of the facility, the need for more shelf space, and the need for better access and parking became increasing priorities. November 2000, the new Tompkins County Public Library opens its doors on the corner of South Cayuga Street and East Green Street, just a block from the downtown Ithaca Commons.
If you read the minutes again of the trustee meetings of the Cornell Free Library, in the 1920s, the trustees said we're out of space. That's very clear. It took them from 1920 to 1969 to get a new library. They went through the Depression, and then they went through the war, and they actually closed the library for a while. And it took, and then they went through urban renewal, and there was a lot of controversy about where this library was going to be sited. There were took them 7 years of being in temporary quarters before they ended up deciding to on this site and building this building. So yes, there was compared to this decision, and maybe this is just the time gets speeded up. That was a very, very long, prolonged debate about getting out of the Cornell Free Library and into this building. From what I understand, it was a compromise. Just as I said, this new site's a compromise, this site was a compromise, and the footprint was too small. They had hired a library consultant who told them that. And I can't explain compromises. I wasn't there at the time. The fact that the footprint of the building was too small really constrained us when it came time to looking at could we expand around this perimeter. So they probably built something that was too small for what they thought they needed. They said it would be good for 20 years, and I don't mean good in that the walls would fall down, but space-wise, the amount of space available would be good for 20 years. And right on schedule, 1990, was when the board said we've really got to do something about space. The difference between the old library and the new library, it certainly appeared to me as a tenant at 312 that nobody could have possibly have been consulted on the design of that library. That was definitely an architectural statement, and that had any of us ever been asked what kind of space would we need here, we would not have ever designed that space. Other structural problems with the building included the roof needed replacement, and
Yeah, there were a whole series of things, the result of the age of the building. The mechanical systems were beginning to approach the beginning of the end of their life.
right.
And the fact that the roof, again, was replaced at one point with a new rubber membrane roof, and that was reaching the end of its design life. That was also one of the first rubber roofs to be installed. So it had some problems with respect to its materials as well as its installation and the application, and things have evolved significantly since then. So things are done a little bit differently now than they were done with respect to that building. I think in looking back at the development of this project, one thing that was extremely clear when I first came to the county was that there was an issue with the library, and previous library directors had indicated that there was a need for additional program space, and we had studied alternate ways of creating an entrance into the building, because the grand stairway entrance was a problem now with respect to the Americans with Disabilities Act and trying to bring people within the structure. So the ramp and the stairway all were revised in the early 90s, and at that point the issue was whether or not we create a grand entrance with an enclosed glassed front in order to address some of the program needs, or whether we just do what is minimally required in order to meet our handicapped accessibility requirement. And the decision at that point was to really just address handicapped accessibility, and that the issue of developing a program would have to wait. It's possible to look at each one of these things and say, yes, maybe we could have developed something on site with that property, and it would have been a gorgeous facility, and it would have been something to be proud of, and I'm sure that it would have been. But at that point, I don't think it was clear to anyone that it was the right answer.
That's right.
As we looked at other opportunities with respect to modifying the building even on its own footprint, there were a lot of concerns that people had, not necessarily ones that you can put down on paper that an engineer can analyze and put numbers to, but it's just a feeling that it was wrong to do it there. And it was a feeling that it was wrong to do it within the city of Ithaca at other sites, primarily because of a lot of the constraints that existed. So going through the analysis and creating the spreadsheets and doing the comparisons and doing the cost analysis all proved that the answer wasn't clear until the Woolworth site became a viable opportunity. Once it became a viable opportunity, it began to look as if the spreadsheets began to say things that we hadn't heard before, things that said, well, it is cost effective to do it, that we have enough space, that even though programmatically we're not getting nearly as much space, or we're not getting exactly as much space as we had wanted, because of the large open area, that it is possible to make do and to create a brilliant facility within the space, within the box, that will satisfy our programmatic needs for an extended period of time. Part of the building problems were the result of trying to fit a program around an architecture as opposed to trying to fit architecture around the program. And the problems that were being experienced within the library were the fact that you had a grand space with an opening that created a lot of problems with respect to trying to heat and cool. Also, there were some, at that point, very innovative solutions to providing heating and cooling to the space, predominantly the metal pan ceiling with the radiant tubing that was attached to it, which wasn't very effective at cooling the space. And over the years, we had made some modifications to that to try and make it work better with respect to trying to keep air out of the building, but it in fact was a difficult building to control because of that, because of the architecture, and because of us trying to use systems that have now proven to be not as effective as once believed. The old library director, again, was able to make the case that something needed to happen, but it really needed new blood to be able to bring a fresh perspective to how it's presented to the community as well as to the county board in order to make it happen. When did I believe that it was possible? when I saw Janet Steiner in action is when I believed that it was possible that the library could have a new and/or renovated home.
Oh, thank you. It was very nice of you. I sort of with Terry on this. I think there was a happy confluence of a lot of things that made it possible.
I look at the development of these projects as, unless the project is truly worthy,
Mm-hmm.
having all those other elements really will not generate a project for you. Being a wash and cash, having the right personalities involved with enough time to be able to accomplish it, it really takes the development of that program piece to say the project has to happen. And I believe that, you can look at the economic times in which the project was built and say that, maybe there was a feeling within the community that it is the right time to do it because of the economic condition. But I really believe that you have to look back at it and say that people were ready for the library to take a leap forward because it had been stagnant in its development, both from a technological standpoint and a facility standpoint.
However, the acquisition of the Woolworth site was not without controversy. Owner Dave Abbott received criticism from those who expected him to do more to market it for retail use, and the county was criticized for potentially removing the site from the tax rolls.
First time I met Dave Abbott must have been when he called at someone's behest and suggested that we think about the Woolworths building as a possible home for the library. I went up with a couple staff members to his home, lovely home in Aurora, and he cooked for us and talked about the situation and felt very strongly that it would be a very good use for the library.
Barbara Mink called and said, "We'd like to see you at your home, at your office." And they came down here and we sat around this table. Were you with them?
Yes,
Oh,
I was.
you were with them, of
Stu
course.
was Barbara and Stu and
That's right,
me.
Stu. And she said she didn't think that she could get that, the difference between the assessed value and the pledge from through the Board of Representatives. And I told Roy Park that I would call him as soon as we had the meeting, and I told him, I said, it doesn't look possible. I had a phone call from a lovely lady, Mrs. Park, who wanted to see me and said, "I'd like to meet you at the store." So Rosemary and I went down, she came in, and Rosemary and I was leaning toward going along with the library for two reasons. Her reason was that we'd have such a capital gains tax to pay that the difference would be negligible. And secondly, she felt that that would be an ideal spot for the library. And she and Dorothy Park were getting along pretty famously at that stage.
Well, you know that the Park family comes from the communications business. They owned newspapers, they owned radio and television stations, and it's a family that for a long time has understood the tremendous power of both the written and the spoken word. So with their strong interest in communications and a strong belief in the value of literacy, the public library was a natural place to put some park money, and everyone and the board was aware of the fact that there were needs at the library that were not being met in the old facility.
At this point, the Park Foundation stepped in with an offer to purchase the building and give it to the county for the use of the library. This $2.5 million gift reduced the cost for an expanded new library to $6.9 million, roughly half of the other alternatives. The County Board of Representatives voted in September 1999 to accept the offer and proceed with seeking bids for the design of the new library. That night, it really hit me. It was going to happen. We had a building, a site, and we were about to get architects.
We spoke fairly regularly over a period of months, back and forthing, trying to figure out how the taxpayers could afford the purchase, how we had to make sure that there were no other retail possibilities for that space. And he was a delightful person to be with and to talk to.
That
Well,
site in
those
the city.
people who are literary articulate and published their articles in the journal were contacted. I contacted every one of them that evening. And I would start out by saying, we were just enthralled with your letter. My wife and I agree that that's a proper thing to do. And so what we would like to do is offer this to you.
I remember you doing
And
that.
I did that with every single person that wrote a letter in the paper, every one of them. And some of them admitted they really didn't know what they were talking about. They would come right out and say that.
Were there any doubts at the time throughout the process?
Not after you showed us those beautiful Kansas City photos. I think that made a big impact on the board because it was another big box store that had been converted into a beautiful, beautiful public facility. So I think that we had some faith in the library staff and the board and also any architects that might be hired. And Mrs. Park especially, I think, always could see the possibilities in this particular building.
I think they made a great deal when they made the deal with Mr. Abbott.
Mr. Abbott's a unique character.
He's probably done more behind the scenes to help this community than any other man in the last century other than maybe John Ryan.
Dave never was taken through the library construction site. He was in, and I wondered whether it would be too hard for him to grieve over the loss of the Woolworth building, which to him was very dear, and whether he could share the same excitement about a new library, really, truly. I walked by the library yesterday and I thought, it's really too bad that Dave's never going to be able to see what this new building is going to be. And yes, Rosemary, his wife, will be able to come through and his children will be able to come through. But one of the really neat things for me personally going through this process was meeting Dave Abbott.
David M. Abbott has done wonders for this community. They tried to run him out of town on a rail when he talked about making affordable housing available for people that didn't have the same kind of income as other people at West Village. But he made it work, and it's a model for the whole country. People on West Hill are today proud that West Village is there.
Final thoughts about the library in the old Woolworth building?
Sure, I feel that within the next 2 years, the community generally will be enthralled with what that building, the purpose of the building, the location of the building. It's going to be great for those people who live in town. You're not doing what the YMCA did. They went up and located where the kids who should be using it can't use it because of the location. And the other thing that I feel is that it's going to be one of the better libraries in the continental United States. And it's going to be written up.
For 2 years, we had studies done of, first of all, what was the space problem, what were the space needs, what would we need for 20 years. We had a library improvement committee that was chaired by Nancy Schuler, and we had consultant reports, and then we had public meetings about the consultant reports, and we had meetings with the consultants and the trustees and the county board members all in one room. Then some of the alternatives began to shake out, and some of these concepts were beginning to dawn on people. And I think if we tracked all of the meetings, you could see the evolution of the thinking and how people concluded what conclusions they came to. All of those designs got floated back to committees, and we shared them with the general public, and we got ideas. And that whole track of the library building and all the different groups that met one after the other was happening at the same time that there was a parallel track here that we were also looking at fundraising for the new library. So the foundation, the Tompkins County Public Library Foundation, was ready to say we can help raise money for this new library. But they created their own energy and their own initiative by creating a feasibility study, saying how much money could we raise. The county said, if we raise money for the library, how much can you raise privately? So we had a group that hired a consultant that went out and said we could probably raise $1 million. The campaign committee that said it will raise $1 million was a huge number of people, and there's many subcommittees involved with that.
Maybe this isn't all of our friends, but it's a great turnout and it's a great day.
Thank you, Marty. First of all, I'd like to say this is an amazing crowd. Really a wonderful turnout and says a lot about the sport. I only have one page and thought it might be a little too brief, so I want two quick anecdotes. The first one, when Woolworth was closing, it had occurred to me that I had never eaten in the restaurant, probably for good reasons. But I did decide to come here the last day with a good friend of mine. We had lunch and tried to imagine what the building would be like in the future. I think it still needs some work, but it's quickly getting there.
I'm really glad that the kids from Beverly J. Martin School are here because they probably more than anybody else understand the word imagination.
I think it's a wonderful time capsule. The students here today were also given student time capsules for their own use, and we've asked them to write out some thoughts about the library on some acid-free paper to be placed into the time capsule. Hooray! Hooray!
This is going to be great. In September, you are going to have a ball.
It's now October. Everything was very exciting, Terry. It was the most exciting day of my life.
Did you kick for a raise?
That was wonderful. It's what we've always dreamed about doing, is being in this facility and being able to cheer on the construction. And the only better day that I can imagine is the day we all move in. And the staff seemed really thrilled. They had been through a how to move session at the library this morning, and they were ready. They're ready. We're all ready. This can't go fast enough. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to announce our fundraising campaign for the additional things that we need in this library. We're short of money and for technology. We need money for furnishings. We need money for the collection. And we want to offer some new programs and services in the building when we open. And all of that's going to take private money.
This is the kickoff. Everyone is getting a memorial mug, if that's the correct term, and a folder with information about the kickoff, including the press release, which will tell that, in fact, this is the beginning of the $1 million campaign for the library.
This is a good news day. The official launch of the renovation project, the launch of a capital campaign for the library, and now perhaps the best news. It is my pleasure to announce that of the $1 million goal set by the Library Foundation Board, $500,000 has already been pledged. We have 100% participation in giving from the library's foundation and trustee boards, as well as of the library's Friends of the Library's executive board. These include Seth Burchard, Janet Steiner, the McClaffertys, Fran Raymond, Time Warner Cable, Wegmans, the Tompkins County Trust Company, M&T Bank, and Borg Warner. I would like to take this moment to highlight the support from Borg Warner and issue a very, very public thanks. Borg Warner has pledged a gift of $200,000 to the library. In short, this campaign will complete the base of support necessary to create the library that will meet the high standards of our community. Why do I support this campaign? Most likely for the same reasons you do. A new public library does not present itself to a community very often. This once-in-a-generation opportunity to create a new library, one which will enhance both our sense of place as well as our pride of place.
The building of a new public library in the Woolworth building in downtown Ithaca is something that we feel is very important for the revitalization of the downtown. It's something we're very excited about. The library needs to stay in the center of the urban core of the city of Ithaca so that the constituents who live, or the people that live in the city, who walk various places have access to the library. It's still in a location that's easily accessible by car as well. And with an expanded parking facility next to the library, it makes it that much easier for any county resident to go to the new Tompkins County Public Library.
Once we realized that we might actually have a new public library, so many people contributed to the vision. The adjectives that we used over and over again were welcoming, friendly, warm, inviting, and spacious. We envisioned natural light, comfortable seating, and lots of space for new technology. So much of what works in this new library is the result of spectacular architects from Quinlivan, Pierrick, and Krause.
Glad to have gotten this project. When I first started and I looked at the prints, I was really interested in design. I'd worked with QPK architects before, and I knew they were a good outfit, and so I was real excited about this project. And I have to admit, it wasn't an easy one, but in the end, you know, it's something you can walk away from and be proud of.
Well, there was several parts on the task. One, and the most important, was how to transform the existing building. That was very important, and also there was a part on how to design all the interiors so you could really have the right type of setting for the new library. So I didn't work alone. I worked with a team of other architects. Carly Hansen was the architectural designer that helped me on the interior, and Connie Brace was the architect that helped us as a project manager. So I'm one of three.
One of three women, I might add.
Women, yes. So we came with Carly and we walked the site. Then I remember we went to a restaurant here in Ithaca and we started sketching on a napkin. What could we do to this box? And we tried multiple things. We discussed multiple approaches. Finally, we both, just after the meal was done, we had 10 different napkins, and the ones we said, this is a keeper, we stuck in our pocket. And then we walked into your office, and I remember we didn't know who were going to be the architects at this time, but I remember that I said, we have to run these ideas by her because we might be completely off on what do we really are providing here. So when we went there and we showed you that, you gave us a very important piece of information. I remember having asked you, can you tell me in one sentence what is the mission of the library? And you answered, it was connect people with information. So when you said that, we said, whatever we do in the exterior to respond to the context, it's got to be so clear in the interior that you can really, from the moment you cross the door, you are connected to a variety of things, either written information in books, open to the public, or computers, or all that. So wayfinding and orientation inside of the library became almost as important than what all the exterior was. So we had a very strong idea. The challenge was to really make that idea happen for the budget that was already assigned to the project. So when you go to compete for a job, you try to get your best ideas out. But then the real challenge comes in how can you engineer that in a way that you can buy it for the budget that is allocated. And that was the biggest challenge. And we responded with the design to the goals. So it's really part of our job, but it's also part of your job, because if you wouldn't have communicated very clearly what were the issues, then the design wouldn't have come out that strong either. And I gotta say something too, that if you wouldn't have been completely in our side pushing for the radical change, it wouldn't have happened. You can't make this happen only from the architect side. You have to have the user completely into it. So you're part of the result. as a finished product. It's forming inside our brains. So when we are drawing it, we know how it will look. That's what we are drawing.
One of the greatest things about being an engineer is you're not an architect. So I really avoid the issue of trying to influence a design, an architectural design, because of my engineering background.
Okay.
And in a lot of cases, I can't see what the intention is without having it explained in great detail. And the issue of, the circular front, originally looked very attractive. I didn't fully understand how it was going to develop in design, but now seeing it, it begins to bring a whole sense of continuity to what they had originally proposed. So I tend to sit back and just be more concerned about project budgets and schedules and making sure that the program fits into the space, as long as the architecture doesn't command the program.
Okay.
It would have been nice to have hired a local architect, and I think that there are many capable architects and architects that could have done equally as good of a job. But the proposal that QPK made in their original presentation turned out to be the proposal that we built. And really, looking back now, the answer was clear at that meeting, that we had our architects, that we had our design, and this was going to be a gorgeous facility and a very functional facility. And I think that the operations of it over the past year have proven that out, and that the architect felt as if their responsibility was towards the owners, the library. And we had not nearly as much of an influence in the process, and that wasn't bad. We actually were able to sit back and watch things develop a little bit more than maybe we would have. I believe that the stakeholders meeting were one piece of it, but then if you look at the committee that developed the design as well as oversaw the construction, there were people on there from the program side, which a very active role, that had a very active role. On previous projects, there were program people on the committee, but their role wasn't nearly as active, and they weren't nearly as involved in choosing how the project evolved. The other piece, which is the historical piece, is taking the history of projects that the county had completed to date and identifying all the costs associated with those projects, and then projecting out into the future what those costs would be when the library would be constructed. So the two pieces are, what it costs for design, what it costs for construction, as well as all the other miscellaneous costs associated with getting the work done.
Let's talk a little bit about the controversy with the solar panels. That was an add-on that wasn't originally planned, and it added $500,000 to the construction project.
The majority of the board felt strongly that here was a chance to really put into action a lot of the philosophy people are comfortable relying on but don't actually do. This looked like a project that, first of all, could save us money in utility bills. It could be a paradigm for other institutions or even smaller homes or buildings that want to see how it works. It'll certainly fulfill the educational mission of the county. We're going to have a kiosk looking at the solar power readout.
First county project with the solar panels?
Yes, with passive solar voltaic panels. It's the first one we're doing.
It's already successful because they're here.
They're on time. They're going to be done before the library opens. They're going to be generating power.
Online power that people will be able to see on the web or something?
That's right. It will be recorded on the web, so you'll know exactly how much electricity we're generating throughout the day and how much we've generated historically with the system in place.
I am living in my dream come true. When we planned the new library, it was our desire to be innovative, but friendly and welcoming and inviting. And while we were building a library for the next 20 years, we did not design the library building, either the exterior or the interior, to be space-age futuristic with stainless steel furniture and exposed wiring. Instead, we asked for a library that would reflect the traditional values of public libraries, a place that would welcome all,
be free and accessible to all. That would include new technology, but that would also have the personal, professional staff who would help you navigate the sea of resources. And then came the futuristic bonus, the solar energy system. It is our dream to be one of the best libraries in the country, and there is no doubt that being an early adapter of solar energy will define Tompkins County Public Library as one of the most forward-looking and innovative libraries as well. And I would like to introduce the chair of the county board, Barbara Mink.
Hi, I have no prepared remarks. I'm going to act as the MC for today's brief presentation. But let me just say how nice it is to get credit for something that was hard to move forward on. First of all, I want to give credit to Representative Dooley Kiefer, at whose insistence we considered solar panels when we were planning on building the library. It takes that kind of persistence to look at something that may not seem obvious to everyone. Right now, it looks like the obvious right choice, given what's going on with the energy situation all around the country, and boy, do we look good. In fact, my understanding is that the library was so shocked at the sunshine today that the transformer has been overheating and with joy. Let me ask one of the brightest lights in the New York State Assembly, Marty Lester, if he'd like to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, and it's always good to be here in my favorite place. It is a wonderful, wonderful library, and every time I come here I just get thrilled all over again. And to be here today to celebrate once again Ithaca being just a small step ahead of the rest of the country is a good thing. We do this 2 or 3 or 4 times a year on various fronts, but on this one in particular I'm very happy to be here. The Assembly, of course, is very interested in energy issues. We just passed last week a package of energy bills. I will not go into the details with you because it would take the rest of the afternoon and into the evening.
Next, we would like a few words from Ithaca Mayor Alan Cohen, who may be announcing the installation of solar panels on City Hall.
I am sad to say that we're not here to make that announcement. I'm here simply as a representative of the host community of this project and this facility. I look forward to the day when we do not consider solar power to be an alternative energy source, but to be the energy source.
Tom Lydon is our last speaker. He's the Vice President of Powerlight, who brought you this solar unit, heads up their East Coast operation. He also serves on his town planning board in New Jersey and heads up the local Habitat for Humanity. So, Tom.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Thank you all for coming. Isn't it great to hear these things? I've been in the business since 1980. I mean, we are finally getting to the point where people recognize the value of renewable energy. I mean, if we had done what was talked about earlier 20 years ago, we would not be in the situation right now. It's time now to start doing the right thing. And I want to thank Tompkins County Public Library for taking leadership on this. I want to thank the county board for taking leadership on this. And I want to thank NYSERDA for helping. And it wouldn't have happened without NYSERDA. Jeff Peterson and Jennifer Harvey are here, and I want to thank you very much for that. And then ultimately, you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing for the environment, you're doing the right thing for the community, and you're doing the right thing economically for the building. So we look forward to working with the library as we tweak this system, as we make it better, as we monitor it over the next few years to see how it does relative to our predictions. And remember, you know, in Tompkins County, conservation of renewable energy is not just a virtue, it's a practice. So thank you very much.
I don't think the library trustees ever lost faith, and our library users were behind us all the way. I think the library staff were the last to actually believe that something was going to happen, that we were about to build the library of the future. Actually, the day after the county bought the building and the county owned it, the first group of people that I wanted to see go into that building were the staff. And so we had opened up the doors one morning between 8 and 9. We had It was immense. It was gigantic. It was this big space without any merchandise in it, without any shelving for the merchandise. And I remember people wandering around going, oh my gosh, this place is huge. And the restaurant was still there, and people still thought we should have a coffee shop. And the reaction of being in that building as it goes through its various metamorphosizing has been really fun. So I remember that day very specifically. We just rattled around in there. The architects went through it several times trying to get a feeling for what was going to happen. Then the demolition began, and began to take out those benches in the restaurant and take down the pharmacy and take down the ceilings. And then as walls began to go up and you began to get a sense of the feel of the space, to me it seemed important for people to be able to come in and get that. So again, the staff to me who are going to have to live there and spend many, many hours in that building, I think deserve to see it. And we offered them several opportunities to go through. We had the library launch there on that day, but we also had tours. We took through trustees, we took through foundation members, we took through donors. There's a lot of excitement, although there are also people who don't want to go through a construction site, who don't get it, and told me they don't want to see it till it's all done, which is fine. They don't quite, space is hard to sort of imagine. Today is June 9th, June 9th, and the walls, they're drywalling right now. So if you go in today, you would get a very good sense of how big the Youth Services Department will be, which is 3 times its size. You'll get a sense of the width of the Avenue of the Friends, because you can see where it is. You'll be able to, you can see how big the study rooms are. You can see how big your office is. You can see where the windows are in relationship to your space. So we're at a point now where we've been asked not to bring as many people through, and we'll probably wait till later in the summer, perhaps when the carpeting's down and there's not so much construction debris, for our next round of tours.
Another controversy erupted with the decision to have only one entrance at the corner of Cayuga and Green Street.
You have right now the city configured in a way that you are in an intersection where all traffic comes towards that intersection through 2 streets that have a one-way traffic. So you basically, no matter which direction of the city you come from, when you approach the library, you will really see that first corner as your first impact. Also, there is a great pedestrian life in Ithaca, and because of the proximity with the commons, your most civic open way to get to the library was through Cayuga Street. So pedestrian and vehicular traffic both were going to have the first impact on that corner. And the second reason that is very, very important is we didn't own the land around the library on the east side and on the south side. Therefore, no matter how interesting and nice we could have designed that access, we did not control what the development of those sites was going to be. Therefore, the parking on those locations was not guaranteed. The height of the buildings that were going to come there was not guaranteed. So putting the access in that site would have been only good for a very, very short period of time. Thinking on the whole span of the life of the library, the only sensible solution was to really put it in your visible, non-ever threatened corner to be hidden. So that's why we insisted on that.
The Ezra Cornell Reading Room represents our vision that we wanted a very traditional space for quiet reading, research, and study, a quiet oasis in an urban environment. We saw footstools, live plants, oriental rugs, and here they are. We imagined small study rooms. We wanted a reference desk that was high on one side for quick questions and a more personal and confidential side for more in-depth questions. Our vision for the Youth Services Department also began with low expectations. All we wanted was more space. Then we began to improve on that. rocking chairs, and a place for teens and kids' bathrooms. I think the architects added a lot to the vision of what could happen for children since they had small children. The trellis, the colors, the carpet, the wall of windows. Eugenia Brieva, Connie Brace, Carly Hansen, and Teresa Crook shared our vision and added to it.
That's for sure. Here's your part now. I'm a little cat. Meow, meow. I'm a little cat. Meow, meow. I'm a little cat. Meow, meow. I'm a little cat. Imagine that. Well, I like the city and I like the town. I know the way 'cause I get around. I know some cats all over the place. They know my whiskers and they know my face. Here we go. I'm a little cat. Meow, meow. I'm a little cat. Meow, meow. I'm a little cat. Meow, meow. I'm a little cat. Imagine that. Well, all I need tonight is the light of the moon. Floating in the sky like a funky balloon. The song of the crickets calls me to roam.
I think for the youth services, they spent a great deal of time thoughtfully about designing that, and definitely the extreme success of the little door. You know, how much people really like that, how a tiny little detail really adds to the whole character. And then again, will the purple wall really work? And whether, you know, people get scared of something so bold, but when it's all put together, it's a nice thing. Some things surprised me, some design details that I didn't necessarily catch. Things like that surprised me. Little design details here and there, and a lot of them were very pleasant surprises.
Can you name one?
Well, the floor, you know, we knew that there was going to be something happening in it, that it would be so nice, being out of linoleum and not something like terrazzo. I think it really came out great, how it really pulls you in, the design, because a lot of times ideas look good on paper, but they don't read well or work well in reality. So that was a nice, a positive thing. And also another surprise would be, you know, the carpet. That was a challenge.
It's a risky business, isn't
It's
it?
a very risky picking out something in a little scale and then putting it in as big as it is. That was a surprise, but I think when it's a thing is you have to go on faith that it's all going to come together and that the people you hire can really have seen it enough times to know whether it's going to all come together. And I think QPK did a really good job.
For example, this room was meant to be your face to the city, the part of the library that is not bothered by external movement and light, and especially in this case we had in our side that this was the north orientation. Therefore, there was no concern about the sun. So once we thought that, and once we thought about doing the most radical modification to the existing facades of the building in the north area, we created the curve that led you into the entrance lobby. And with that curve, that is the storefront curve, the glass curve here, we had a wider sidewalk where people would wait and get in the buses and get out and enter into the library. We thought, how is the exterior space going to tie and help in the character of the interior space? We thought that if you look around, Janet, this was the only building that was really a one-story building.
Yes.
How do you make people perceive this as a building of the same scale than the other ones if the other ones are 3 and 4 stories high? Part of the trick is that if you provide a glass that has not a completely mirror effect, because remember, this was the space in which we wanted to showcase the library, but your glass is really 2 glasses. Each one of those glasses is really 2 faces. So what we did is we specified the mirror one in an interior face of the interior glass. So from outside, even though it's not really a mirror glass, people walking at your height of your eyes will see the full height of the other buildings reflected. So you will feel that you are walking in a side that is really as prominent as height as the opposite side, but it is really not. So those are really perception, visual perception and sensorial perception that every designer should really manage. Those are your bag of tricks, really.
How nice the reading rooms on both ends turned out was a really nice surprise. The north reading room, I was skeptical about if it would be cozy enough to really inviting enough, or whether it would feel too open, but I think it works really well.
On the evening view, one of the things that we thought when we came the very first time and we saw this site and we saw how inanimated it looked at night, we thought part of the problem is you really don't have too many windows. You don't have too many places where you can see light beaming out into the city. So we designed the lighting in a way that during the day you could have the benefit of the reflection as you just described, but during the night this really became a window to the whole world of the library. So we knew people was going to stay late here. We knew people was going to gather with groups. So we said this is going to be the most attractive corner on this street at night because it's going to be so illuminated, and we planted the lights in the place where we casted the shadows of the columns at night over the storefront. So it's really a very elaborated game, and I don't want to bore you with all the technicalities, but we wanted to really have a presence during the day that was completely in concert and fusion with the city, and a presence at night that was astounding, that was really going to say, wow, this is a place that has a lot of life, and people feels invited to come in. It's an attraction.
We succeeded.
It is? That's
It
great.
worked exactly that
That's
way.
great.
Well, we started out with basically a shell. The building was empty. It already had acoustical ceilings and lights all throughout, and just pretty much bare concrete floor, or actually it was VCT. So we came in, we had to strip up all the VCT, take all the acoustical ceiling tile and lights out, demo the portions structurally, and we needed to reinforce some of the steel to accommodate the skylights and the work at the entry, the barrel that was put in. So all that required some stiffening structurally, and also we added some extra steel for the windows for the force of the wind, shear force that stiffened up the exterior of the walls of the building. And then basically once we got the shell formed the way it was designed to be, then we started with the interior walls, building. We had foundation walls that the design on the main entry side was have the foundation wall come up 2 feet above grade, and then the window system sat on top of that, so all that foundation work had to get done.
This is the Borg Warner Community Room.
Naming spaces after the people or corporations who donate money for them is no question becoming the trend. It's strange seeming. It seems strange to me. It's odd. And yet, if we're encouraging organizations like the library to work in partnership with the private sector, then that's part of what you have to do. It's not the Coca-Cola Library, it's the Tompkins County Library. But within that space, I think acknowledging the tremendous gifts that members of the private sector are giving to this public facility, not a bad thing.
Well, the major donor to the whole project was the Park Foundation, and they did not ask to have anything named after them. They didn't ask for the building to be named after them. In Rochester, the Rochester Public Library is the Bosch and Lamb building of the Rochester Public Library in honor of the gift that their corporate gift. So the parks will be honored here and with a very small plaque.
Yes, and so they should be. It was a remarkably generous and thoughtful thing for them to do for this community.
There are many programmatic naming opportunities, and it's not just that a business or a group makes a gift and enables their name to be out in the newspaper all the time, and therefore it's good advertising, although it certainly is. It's a real statement to their clients and to the community of what they think is important and why they supported the library. Borg Warner is a perfect example. They made a huge leadership gift of $200,000 to this library, and their name was very appropriately attached to the community room because their gift allowed many of the things that are now in this library to happen. And now we have the Borg Warner room being used for dozens of not-for-profit agencies in this community as a wonderful place to meet. So it's a thank you to Borg Warner that their name is used every day, dozens of times a day, and it's a thank you to the people that use it are pleased to be in that space and to recognize that Borg Warner made this possible. The county's very, very supportive and has continued to be very supportive, and they really underwrote this whole project magnificently. The renovation was $6.4 million, and they increased the library's operating budget in the first year that the new library has been open. Of course, the Park Foundation gave a very generous gift of $2.5 million to the county to purchase this building. So everyone really came together on it. But there are always the extras that are needed. The community it reads a lot. These books circulate a lot. I think it was 96,000 of the kids' collection goes out every year. We need to supply more resources on these shelves for this particular community to meet their expectations.
The fact that the library fundraising campaign has been so successful suggests that people care about making this facility the best it can possibly be. When the county agreed to fund it and to do the renovations, we're trying to save as much money as possible because it's taxpayer dollars and there are so many other pressing needs. But for the community to come and supplement a lot of that expense with their own money suggests that there's a lot of pride.
When we came to build the retrofit for the Tompkins County Public Library, I had quite a little experience in building buildings for Tompkins County, and one of the very important attributes about our building program in Tompkins County is that we're trying to set the standard for quality and the standard of design for Tompkins County so that people will be very proud of the buildings that we build in Tompkins County. And I think this facility demonstrates that very well. We took an existing building, which was a retail store, and we turned it into a very fine public library. As people who visit the library can well see, that we have set the standard for design, the materials, the quality materials that we put into this building, and I am confident that this building is going to be very serviceable, and it is a very, very fine building for the type of program. There are many program areas within the facility so that there is some separation of programs, but that is excellent because the youth can be in one area, the public use of the computers in another area, and quiet reading space. So I think what we've done through this library project is that we have created a state-of-the-art library for Tompkins County, and we have met the challenge of the residents of Tompkins County.
A set of spreadsheets prepared by Jim Kazda, senior civil engineer for Tompkins County, provided lawmakers with an opportunity to compare the costs of various options, not only for actual design and building, but also showed the cost to operate and maintain each option. Additional staffing was always included in the cost projections along with library technology so that there were no unpleasant surprises once a decision was made. The numbers that we provided early on have proven themselves to be quite accurate. In a project of this size, having reliable and credible data contributed to the success of the project. Another report comparing Tompkins County Public Library with other libraries of similar circulation relied heavily on comparative data. The Library 2020 report indicated that the library was below average in staffing, hours open, inventory, and number of library users. This report underlined the need for the county to increase its support for the library and move ahead with a new facility.
November 10th, 2000, 5 p.m. The Tompkins County Public Library's last day of service at 312 North Cayuga Street. The doors are closed and locked, and the big move begins with the help of volunteers and library staff, family and friends, along with hired professional movers. It takes 10 days to complete the entire move. November 20th, 2000, 10 a.m. Tompkins County Library reopens at its new building at 101 East Green Street. With a blast of confetti from the rooftop and the presentation of a large library card by Library Director Janet Steiner to the first patron who enters, Justin Marcus, the library continues service in downtown Ithaca.
The space, the easy access, good parking for disabled folks outside. Like that a lot.
Great. I'm excited. I can't wait to start bringing him here to get books and things. It's great.
And you're here on opening day.
Yeah.
And you're on camera.
He likes it a lot. All the chairs and tables that are his size.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's really modern, and you know, when we went to the reading room, it feels like in the lobby of a hotel.
Anybody can walk in the door, 55 hours a week and get anything they want on any subject. What more do you want?
And we're very proud of this library. We're going to be the best public library in the country. Now that we have one of the best buildings, we've decided we're going to be the best library.
nice to meet you. I'm not really supposed to be out at this time of year, but oh well, it's the library opening. I've got to be here.
And this is the Firefly?
This is the Firefly, yes. And we do a lot of waltzing together.
Could we see you waltz?
Yes. When the moon is bright and the air is light, let's go waltzing with the fireflies. Get your slippers on and your dad and mom and go waltzing with the fireflies. Just a quickie.
Thank you very, very much.
You, Joe.
We're going to put this in the archive.
Seems like your grandfather needs to get out of the house. Could start here in the library. You know, there's an entire room of large print books. One of them, something might inspire him. It was hard for me when I went into my daughter's home. Lots of things to get used to, lots of differences.
Well, but you're okay now. I mean, you're exercising for the 80s.
I certainly am.
You know, there are some more places you might look into for more information. Not that books aren't great, but there's that information highway out there. There are a lot of websites you can surf. In fact, I picked this up over at the health desk. It's right down there across from the large print section. This tells you how to check out whether or not a website is legitimate. There's a lot of great information out there.
Oh, I'd like to, but I don't know anything about computers.
Can you type?
Oh, in my day, you couldn't graduate high school unless you could type, if you were a girl.
And since at the time it was being planned, I worked for the Tompkins County Public Library, it's particularly gratifying to see it all happen as we had only imagined it for so long. It's wonderful.
Thank you, Karen.
Tompkins County Public Library, it's really a civic center at this point.
I think it's a real meeting place for people, and it's a great success for the downtown, for the city, and for the county in general.
Stepping out with the family, tell you where we're gonna be. Can you guess where we're headed? We're going to the library. Grab your coat, go and get it. Have tea, it will be fun. And I know you won't regret it. The place is great for everyone. I see you reading, but that's just where you start. There's a lot there for your mind, not to mention your heart. Take a chance, I'm advising. Come along and you'll see. What you find will be surprising. It's not the same old library.
Tompkins County Public Library, navigating a sea of resources at 101 East Green Street, downtown Ithaca. Now, more space, better access, and parking. County residents who have never used the library before getting library cards, circulation began to skyrocket. The saying, "If you build it, they will come," has never been so adequately displayed as right here in the Tompkins County Public Library. During the 18 months of construction, a new roof, skylights, and solar panels were added, along with an easy-access main entrance at the corner of Cayuga and Green Streets. Convenient nearby parking and TCAT bring county residents to the library doorstep, an ideal location, a new downtown partner.
Well, I wasn't here when the old library was being used, so I really can't compare it, but this is amazing. I was impressed when I came in. I just moved to Ithaca, and I found this library to be very welcoming and this spacious, and there's plenty of places to study or read or just use the internet. It's amazing.
I think the staff has done a superb job of bringing this online, and it's a wonderful facility. And I hope the community and the residents of Tompkins County wear it out. I really do.
This is a central library for everyone to use, and it's obvious that it's being used to the fullest.
Welcome to all of you.
I'm Marty Shapiro. I'm the former president of the Board of Trustees of the Tompkins County Public Library. I'm delighted to welcome all of you here for the official dedication of this wonderful building. Over the years, great words have been written about libraries by many famous people. And over the last year, we asked members of our community to write about their affection and hopes for this particular library. Today, we thought it would be very appropriate to read aloud some of the words of both sets of writers. Throughout the process, we have had the support of the Tompkins County Board of Representatives. As you know, the library receives about 70% of its funding from the Tompkins County government. The Board of Reps not only undertook the construction costs for the new library, but has also increased its support for our operating budget very substantially, so that we could staff this wonderful building.
They're ready to unveil the dedication plaque and to officially declare this library open.
It was just a year ago that we assembled in almost this exact place to launch the renovation of a space that at that time really did look like the empty shell of a Woolworth building. Doesn't anymore. At that time we were asked to record our thoughts, and my fellow trustee Tom Hunter wrote the following. Today I openly, boldly, and unequivocally predict that the new beautifully designed library will be a magnet for the downtown of the city of Ithaca. It will be a catalyst and springboard for new hope, progress, prosperity, and a beneficial change for this wonderful eclectic community as the new century dawns. Tom, it is right there. Tom, your prediction was perfect. The trustees are grateful to the Board of Representatives, the Friends, the Foundation, and the library's magnificent staff for making today possible.
It's no accident that this dedication ceremony is taking place on the Avenue of the Friends, as you can all see. This corridor is the main spine of the library, just as the Friends of the Library have been the spine of the Tompkins County Public Library for over 50 years. Long before the creation of the Library Foundation, who we'll hear from in a few minutes, the Friends of the Library had provided the major and for many years the only private financial support for the library.
But today I've been asked to speak, and since I worked with children in my career, I was interested in what the children expected from the new library. So I've selected 2 quotes from the many that were written. Deborah Dahlmart wrote, "I like going to the library because it's quiet and you can do reports and you can also think and concentrate." She echoes the thoughts of all of us. Juan No from Beverly J. Martin School wrote, "My favorite book is Harry Potter because it sounds so realistic and it catches my attention. I hope the library will have all 7 of Harry Potter books in 100 years. Juan, I'm confident the Friends of the Library, the trustees, the foundation, and the county will all work together to make your wish come true, and the wishes of the rest of us as well. Thank you."
We wouldn't be standing here in this building without the enormous generosity of the Park Foundation. I'd like to quote from the words of the youngest member of the board of the Park Foundation, Alicia Gomer, who wrote a year ago, "The library is a place that is always open to anyone to provide a safe and warm place to learn, which is the basis for a happy life. I wish that the libraries of the world grow with every expanding technological development and live forever." Thank you, Alicia, for those words, and thank you to all of the members of the Park Foundation for their help in bringing this about. I direct your attention Again, to the back of the room, to Rose and to Ron, who can now unveil the physical proof of the campaign committee's successful efforts, our donor board listing 1,600 names of donors.
Thank you so much, Ron, and thank you also so much, Rose. I just want to say a little personal word about Rose. In all my dealings, of course, I've worked with just wonderful people, and I especially want to note that Rose Beta is one of those wonderful people. She's been right there at the beginning, working hard, giving unstintingly of her time and effort, and her wise counsel has been very much appreciated. I just wanted to pull her out of the many, many hundreds of people who work so hard, because I really think she's been a leader as far as the campaign went this year, and I think to a large extent, she's the one that got it all going. So thank you, Rose. Before introducing our last speaker, the person who's done the most to make this library a reality, I'd like to tell a little story. Rose Beta was speaking to a library trustee about November 20th, the, quote, informal or soft opening of the new library. The trustee said, "I don't know how Janet was even standing after all the work she did getting the library open." To which Rose replied, as she usually does, seeing right to the heart of the matter, "She wasn't standing, she was floating." So standing or floating, or perhaps today flying, please applaud the work of the library staff and its absolutely magnificent director, Janet Steiner.
Thank you, Marty. Buildings take ideas, money, and work, but somebody has to literally match our needs with the site and design the space. And when we look around this beautiful building, you can see why I say that we have been blessed with wonderful architects. Quinlan, Pierce, and Krause of Syracuse can take full responsibility for this building. Eugenia Bravia, Connie Brace were the lead architects. Carly Hansen and Teresa Crook were the head designers, and they are here today. But our celebration is not just about physical space and personal achievement. Today is a day to celebrate the fact that this community has reaffirmed its belief in the power of a public library. Public libraries continue to be treasured by Americans. Our joy comes from knowing that our generation is leaving a wonderful legacy to the next generation of readers. Once upon a time, a library gave something to us, and now we want to give that opportunity to others. Our new library symbolizes the belief that free and open access to information is critical to a democracy. As we gather together today, let us remember that public libraries everywhere are not only a cherished icon of American life, but that they are alive, flourishing, and vital to our future. Thank you.
Initially, as you know, I was not supportive of the building, but I certainly was supportive of the idea that we needed a new library and we needed a new building. But I think we did a wonderful job. I think the community really came together, and it shows in the presentation today, and certainly the number of people that have come through. And I think the staff has done a superb job of bringing this online, and it's a wonderful facility. And I hope the community and the residents of Tompkins County wear it out. I really do.
Oh, a lot of people came through. This is, it was a difficult time. There were ups and downs in all of this. There were times when we thought we wouldn't be able to do this. But standing here now, it all seems to have faded in the past. All those difficult times seem to be of little consequence right now because it's a wonderful building, and I think we're going to be one of the best libraries in the country. And that's something we're proud of. We like to think of ourselves in Tompkins County as leaders, as doing things right, and I think in this case we did things right.
1 year after the new library opened, plans were announced for a large development called the Cayuga Green Project, which would surround the library on two sides. QPK and architect Eugenia Brieva were selected by the developers to produce preliminary designs for Cayuga Green.
One of the things that was interesting about this project is the fact that you look at it and say, well, in 20, 30 years, there is going to be another need to do something with the library, possibly. And what do you do? And the fact is, we couldn't predict at this point that what the answer would be. And the design of this building is not one that will stand forever, that we did not build a building to be here for 50 or 100 years. You don't see the granite and the limestone and the copper roofs as you do in the courthouse and many other municipal buildings. You're seeing a building which is trying to live up to its program, which is, we know what the program is for 15 or 20 years. And in business, you're going to build for 15 or 20 years, and then you're going to have to make some other decisions after that. What is the right decision in 20 years? I'll see in 20 years.
Well, first of all, let me say, Janet, that development is good. It's good. It's good to have a busy city. It's good to be growing. You just have to do it in a sensible manner to the buildings that exist there. And the impact is going to be that the library is really going to feel more within a city. Right now, your back is really a parking lot. It's undeveloped. That has one good thing that allows you to see through. So part of the thing that I'm going to try to keep always alive on the design of the other buildings is to not lose for the library the possibility of view. People is going to feel like they have safer places where to park, not just an open lot, more protected from the weather in the winter. So there is very positive things. You can see some negatives when you see the height of the buildings, but the history of the cities is to grow in density. And that is part of the things that we built into the design of the library, so there wouldn't be that negative of an impact when they happened. And I know you remember the big argument about the entrance, and we pointed out this. It doesn't matter where the patrons park right now. We don't control what's going to happen in that site.
What possibilities does the Greens project provide to you in the future? That providing additional money locally to develop, to bring additional people downtown, to increase the traffic flow is an opportunity that shouldn't be missed. The question really is, how long will it take for that project to build out? And if the project is built out in 20 years, maybe then the decision would be that the next phase of the project would be to do something on this particular site, that the library site would be the next component of the Greens project, and it would be in developing it as a 2-story, a 4-story, a 5-story facility of which the library would be a component.
When I started, I said part of the problem is when you design with elements that are not built in the concept, you have it's easier to go against it. But in this case, the concept is so simple and so strong that nothing that you could do with furniture could really affect it. If you start putting walls and you enclose elements and you prevent people from seeing and perceiving, then you may run into a problem. But even though that, there is so much strength built into the circulation pattern that we used as an organizer that is really pretty safe. You shouldn't worry too much.
Following a year of celebrations, the first year in the new library was an unqualified success. Visits to the library increased by 45%, circulation increased by 20%, and public programming attracted over 10,000 adults, teens, and children. The return of the Ezra Cornell portrait in November 2001 capped the year as donors, staff, friends, and trustees gathered to once again remember its earliest beginnings and to bear witness to the fact that Americans do love libraries and that dreams do come true. The artist, William Whitlock, was 25 years old at the time he painted Cornell.
That with the continuing support of the library's friends, contributors, and patrons, and with an ongoing commitment to the spirit of its founding father, the best is yet to come.